Hey guys, welcome back, this is Aaron. Today I'm here to talk about Megan Moroney's second album, Am I Okay? I first discovered her through Grady Smith's channel. I believe he was talking about her song I'm Not Pretty, and I liked what I heard from the clip he played. The rest is kind of history. Sometimes you can just hear one song and hear that an artist has a certain it factor about them. I probably won't talk about a lot of current scenes and popular music on here because, simply put, I just haven't really kept up with much of them, but a notable exception for me has been the country or country pop scenes of recent years. Because of artists like Megan that I'd heard a little bit of, I started familiarising myself through similar songs finders and things as I described on a video of mine a couple of months ago. There are many artists and bands I haven't checked out yet, but I'm happy to say that I'm optimistic for once about the current state of a genre. Of course, sometimes it can take a few listens before something sticks, but for the most part, I feel like what's still good in this genre is not only good, but better than a lot of the past eras of the genre, including some more classic eras, which is pretty unusual for me. Just at the moment, there are 3 women in country or country pop that have kind of risen above the rest for me. Megan just happens to be my first physical buy. I just saw the CD in my city and kind of jumped on it. Most of what I'd heard and liked from Megan so far had been from her first album, and hearing individual songs from the second album, I kind of wondered how I felt about them at first, I admit. I even thought they could have been a tiny bit of a step down, maybe. But I also kind of thought, I like a lot of her stuff as well, and how much longer are new CDs going to be just sitting in shops to buy? Who knows? Anyway, spoiler alert, I'm happy to say that a few of the songs on individual listen that I didn't quite like as much have fared a lot better for me during the album listen and have kind of contributed to a much more consistent, larger release for me. Instrumentally, there's nothing too crazy on here. It's kind of the setup you would expect, guitars, piano, things like that. A lot of pedal steel as well. I know a lot of people love listening to country or subsets like country rock for crazy musicianship, especially from the guitars. There's nothing really like that on here though. It's very much all in support of Megan purely. The aspect that kind of balances that well for me is that this is still very much a professionally produced sounding album with a lot of meticulousness to it. This is very much not just a quickly recorded girl and her guitar kind of country album. It felt like they were really going for a blockbuster kind of sound in the context of the genre as it is right now. There were times listening to this where I wondered if drum machines were in play due to an unusual snare sound or something like that, but then something would happen within the drumming that would kind of show me definitely like the drumming, it was live. Yeah, a lot of layers, a lot of processing, but thankfully not done in too much of an overdone way. Just the right amount for a guy like me who appreciates production just as much as songwriting itself. Vocally, I think Megan's strength is tone over everything else. It's very distinct, she has a drawl, but it's also quite breathy, so it has a soothing quality as well. Her style is definitely not powerful singing, but her voice isn't unassuming either, just because it is so, again, distinct. When I first heard her voice kind of set itself apart immediately, and on here she kind of just continues down that road. A lot of artists take a little bit of time to fully find their singing voice, but not really Megan. I think she had it from the start. If there's one aspect on here I might compare a little bit negatively to the past, it might be lyricism, just a tad, not in a way that it was done badly, maybe just more of a personal taste kind of thing. One thing that really drew me to a lot of Megan's early work was the consistent use of southern US style iconography. I think that's what really put her more at the country end of country pop. In some past songs like Georgia Girl, she referenced the peaches and pines of that state. Tennessee Orange is about wearing a different southern state's colour for sports. And on the song Mustang or Me, about her leaving Tennessee, she's narrating the car trip with such detail that you really feel like you're on the car trip with her. Of course, there are little sprinkles of references like that on this album, such as referencing a farm belonging to an ex-boyfriend's dad on the song Noah. Also references to dive bars and things which are a common feature in a country music. For the most part though, I feel like the approach to lyrics on this album is a lot more universal. It kind of makes it more mass relatable, but the slight trade-off is that it makes it a little bit less unique perhaps. But I think one of the album's best qualities by contrast is sequencing. The album opens for instance with 2 songs about finding a new guy, but they're quite different from each other in tone. One's a lot more upbeat, while the second one is a lot more cautiously optimistic. It does a great job sustaining moods and keeping a nice flow, while adding a different spin on the same subject with songs close together. Same actually with tracks 3 to 5. 3 different post-breakup songs here. but the second two especially juxtapose really well. Man on the Mood is purely a good riddance yet sly breakup song, while 28th of June is a look back at an anniversary, kind of wishing that their relationship had worked out. I kind of get the feeling that some of the stories on this album are fiction or at least composite, but she does a great job making everything sound personal and again relatable. One mark of a good album surely has to be that you enjoy the songs up front while the second half keeps your attention. The weakest individual song for me on here is probably I Know You. There's something slightly rambly about the flow of it which doesn't quite grab me as much as some of the other songs. But I also think the two best songs on the album come towards the end. Heaven by Noon is a really great ode to a recently deceased loved one. I don't think country ballads often come more pretty than that song. And the way it's written, anyone could follow along to that and think about their own deceased loved one. That's one song where the universal writing style does work really well. Hope You're Happy is one of many breakup songs on the album, but it's full of that specific imagery that I really liked from Megan initially, and I really like the conciliatory tone of the song. On the song, she really means it when she's wishing that this person will be happy, and there's something really heartwarming about it. Overall, I'd give this album a 4 out of 5. It did a really great job for me taking individual songs that I didn't necessarily know how I felt about them at first listen and recontextualized them into a larger project which was a lot more consistent for me again. She could go many directions from this point. There are even a couple of rock style choruses on here almost. She could also go more country or more pop, who really knows? She could probably even make another album that sounds sonically like these first two she had, but I suspect sooner rather than later she'll start to evolve her sound. Should be interesting to look out for. I honestly think she's already a country legend in the making. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.